Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Preet Bharara, and I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Over the past 4 years, many of us have gathered in this very room to announce and celebrate the return of three great paintings by Roy Lichtenstein, Joaquin Torres Garcia, and Serge Polyakov to Brazil. Those masterpieces, along with other valuable works of art, had been illegally smuggled into the United States by convicted Brazilian banker and fraudster Edmar Cid Ferreira as a way to launder and hide proceeds of his billion-dollar bank fraud. We seized, forfeited, and returned those paintings to Brazil so that the proceeds from their sales could be used to help the victims of Ferreira's fraud. And so it is with great pleasure that I announce today the return of two more treasured works of art: a Roman Togadis statue, which is depicted to my right, and the painting Hannibal by Jean-Michel Basquiat, a young, brilliant New York graffiti artist who gained international fame and recognition for his neo-expressionist and primitivist paintings, and that painting is actually here in its original right behind me. Hannibal is one of his significant early works, painted in 1981 when he was first achieving success. The Hannibal piece alone was recently appraised at more than $8 million. So the story that brings us here today begins with Ferreira, the founder and president of Banco Santos, one of the largest banks in all of Brazil. While maintaining a facade of a legitimate business, Ferreira was actually orchestrating a massive fraud and converting his ill-gotten gains into one of Brazil's foremost private art collections that included the painting that you see here today. In 2006, the law finally caught up with him, and Ferreira was convicted in a Brazilian court for his massive fraud and money laundering scheme. Ferreira received a 21-year prison sentence, and Banco Santos sank into bankruptcy, leaving more than $1 billion in debt. That's $1 billion in debt. To elude the seizure and forfeiture of his ill-gotten art collection, Ferreira arranged to smuggle many pieces of art to other parts of the world. Hannibal and the Togadis, for example, were shipped from Brazil to the Netherlands and then to the United States. Because these works of art had already been placed on an Interpol watch list and were the subject of a Brazilian seizure order, Ferreira and his cohorts took care to ship them in containers with false labels and invoices, misdescribing and grossly undervaluing their contents. Those efforts, however, ultimately proved to be in vain. Through the extraordinary work of our partners at HSI and the cooperation of authorities in Brazil and elsewhere, these works were identified and they were seized. And then my office successfully pursued a civil forfeiture action in a U.S. court, leading to today's result, the return of both pieces to Brazil for the benefit of the victims of Ferreira's fraud. Today's repatriation, as many of you know, is just the latest in a long line of cases where we have been able to return smuggled and stolen art and antiquities to the nations where they rightfully belong. Over 3 years ago, for example, we seized and returned paintings by Roy Lichtenstein and Joaquin Torres Garcia to Brazil, as I mentioned, that had been illegally smuggled in out of Brazil by Ferreira. And last year did the same with the Polyakov. In September 2011, as another example, we returned to Poland two oil paintings that had been stolen from the Polish National Museum by Nazis during World War II. In May 2013, we returned to the government of Mongolia a Tyrannosaurus Batar skeleton worth over $1 million that had been looted from the Gobi Desert. Last year, we returned a stolen 10th century Cambodian sandstone sculpture to the Kingdom of Cambodia. And just yesterday, we returned the last in a series of priceless antique books stolen from the Swedish Royal Collection to the National Library of Sweden. Art and antiquities have special value and meaning that cannot readily be quantified. As a result, they have long been the subject of theft and deception, as well as a means to launder illicit proceeds. Art should serve to inspire the mind and nourish the soul, and not be allowed to become a conduit for crime. I want to welcome today our distinguished guests from Brazil, some of whom have been here before. We are joined here by HSI resident agent, also in charge, Rob Cabati, along with a group of other Brazilian officials. I want to thank them for working so hard on this case and bringing us to this point today. I want to thank our partner, Homeland Security Investigations, in this and so many other repatriation cases for their excellent investigative work. As I said, I'm joined by Rob Cabati, and would like to thank him and the HSI agents who have long worked on this case, Special Agent Brendan Lunt, former Senior Special Agent Seth Taylor, and Resident Agent in Charge in New Haven, Walter Wilkowski. I would also like to thank the Office of International Affairs of the Department of Justice, especially the Associate Director for South America, Magdalena Boynton, for her assistance. And finally, I must thank the prosecutors from this office who worked so tirelessly to get the result we celebrate today. Among them, Assistant U.S. Attorney Alexandra Wilson, as well as Sharon Cohen-Levin, the former chief of our money laundering and asset forfeiture unit, and also one of the current chiefs, Jason Cowley. With that, let me introduce Rod Katabi, resident agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations, New Haven, Connecticut office.
Thank you, Yusene Barara. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here. I'd like to welcome representatives for the Brazilian consulate, and would like to offer special thanks to the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Preet Bharara, for hosting this important event. On behalf of Homeland Security Investigations, it gives me great pleasure to be able to participate in the repatriation of the Basquiat painting as well as the Roman Tagatas statue to the people of Brazil. Our investigation into the painting and statue found the items were shipped into the United States in violations of U.S. customs laws by failing to properly identify the work of art and artifacts' actual value. As a result, HSI Special Agent based in New Haven, Connecticut, located and seized the Basquiat and Roman Tagata statue in November 2007. Today, we are deeply gratified to be able to return these cherished objects that were brought into the United States illegally to the people of Brazil. Through our investigations into illicitly trafficked cultural property, HSI takes every opportunity to track the rightful owners of items stolen and looted throughout the world. HSI special agents from our cultural property, art, and antiquities program are highly skilled and devoted to these complex cases, and we owe them our thanks. I would like also to thank HSI New Haven special agents who worked hard on this, Brendan Lunt, David Mello, and as well as retired special agent Seth Taylor, who made this repatriation possible. I also want to express my gratitude to the Money Laundering and Asset Forfeiture Unit for the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York for the expert work that brought this case to closure. This case serves as an example of how HSI used its unique customs authority to enforce the law on any person or thing that comes in, to, and out of the United States. Our focus goes beyond immigration enforcement. We dedicate our resources to disrupt and dismantle criminal organizations with the domestic and international nexus. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we would like to hear from some of our friends who have come from Brazil, starting with Ricardo Andrade Sadi, Director of the Department of Asset Recovery and International Legal Cooperation.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon for everybody. It's with honor and gratitude that I'm here today representing Brazilian Ministry of Justice and the Department of Asset Recovery and International Legal Cooperation. That is the central authority in Brazil to the international cooperation. Yesterday, I was with my colleague Magdalena Boynton in DC to the repatriation of 7 snakes that were smuggled to the United States, and now it's in Brazil. Now we are here to repatriate 2 pieces of art result of financial crimes and money laundering. It shows how the transnational crime is going. The globalization and the development of the communications is good for us, but it's good for the transnational crime too. We need to be prepared. According to UN conventions, according to FATF, and according to other international bodies, we need to focus in asset recovery. We need to have a very good internal cooperation between agencies in the same country. We need to have a very strong international cooperation. Relating to asset recovery, Brazil now is in a very good moment. In the past few months, we have recovered more than $100 million to Brazil. Relating to the internal cooperation and coordination between Brazilian agencies, we have a national strategy against corruption and money laundering that we are in charge. We have a very good relationship with the prosecutors, with the federal police, and with other authorities as central bank. We are working together. It's why we are here today. Relating to the international cooperation, United States is one of the most important partner to Brazil. Here now, I would like to highlight the excellent work carried out by Magdalena Boyton and her team. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to work with you, Madalena. As I said yesterday, it is sincere. About this case, I'm very happy to be here today because 10 years ago, I was the police officer in charge of this investigation. After 10 years, I'm here to repatriate these paintings. It's very nice, it's very grateful. I would like to thank to the Romulan Security here from United States, the U.S. Attorney Office, the Asset for Future Money Laundering Section, and all the American authorities involved in this case. And just to finalize, I would like to say that boundaries and other jurisdictions shall not be and will not be a problem to the law enforcement authorities and to the justice. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. And now I call to the podium Fausto de Sanctis, federal judge in Sao Paulo.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. This ceremony today exemplifies the confidence of Brazil in the international justice system, especially in the US. The Brazilian federal courts, which I represent here, believed in the efficacy of Interpol and the foreign authorities and sought the help of friend states. The work aimed to address the need for redressing the crime by repatriation of works of art. These artworks deserve the destination for which they were requested, meeting the social interest by people's access to them that, although acquired with the proceeds of crime, have undeniable cultural value, which should not be economically measurable. Artworks represent history, aesthetics, reflection, creativity. They reveal by themselves a society, a moment, a feeling, the nature, a place. They never should be seen in their monetary aspect because it would diminish something that transcends this vision. There is only compensation of victims when all the people are included, because art protection for public purposes benefits society in general. These artworks belong now to the people of Brazil. 2010 was the first and the historical result of a huge bilateral mutual legal assistance in criminal matters between both countries. I remember coming to the US to deal with American authorities about the best treatment and the destination of the paintings and sculptures and arts, which were forfeited by the federal trial courts. Although a formal mechanism for criminal international cooperation, we had to use an informal method, talking eye to eye in a very respectful way. I contacted and met Sharon Levin, who did a wonderful job in this case. Due to a meticulous work of many civil servants, it were possible to identify artworks that were concealed from the court in order to be possible to sell them here in the West. That was the defendant's interest because he could buy them again through a front person or an intermediary person, money laundering again. I am grateful to the federal employees, to the federal police, to the Interpol, to the Central Authority of Brazil, to the Central Authority in the West here, who understood the importance of these facts expressed in this important ceremony. We are materializing the UNESCO Convention concerning the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage. I congratulate the West, who were the first country ratifying this convention and they helped Brazil to make it real. Finally, I would like to give special thanks to Seth Taylor, a special agent from DHS, ICE, Sharon Levin, as I told before, David Rogate, that's the owner of one art gallery in Connecticut, who was the first guy who suspect of selling these artworks illegally. And the attorney's office for the outstanding and diligent work in the investigation of this case. Artworks were forfeitable as property imported into the West by means of false and fraudulent statements or practices in violation of U.S. customs laws. Both artworks were shown as valued at $100. So that's my message. Thank you for this. It's very important for me being here. It was a huge work since 2004 when the case started, and this is a symbolic and the most important, I guess, ceremony because of the importance of this special painting that we had to talk a little bit about both laws and international rules about dealing with artworks. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Next to the podium, Paulo Furtado de Oliveira Filho, Judge in Bankruptcy Matters.
Good afternoon. It's an honor for me to be here, and my first words are dedicated to all the people who made possible such a remarkable moment. Thank you, everybody. I'm in the case just for a year. I'm the bankruptcy court judge, and Banco Santos is a very important case of bankruptcy in Brazil, especially in São Paulo court. The purpose of this speech also is to emphasize how important are a modern bankruptcy law and the cooperation with authorities of different countries. We don't have a legal system in Brazil clear about cross-border insolvencies, but I think the success of the bankruptcy case of Banco Santos may be partially explained by the proceedings under the Chapter 15 of the United States Bankruptcy Code and by the cooperation with Brazilian authorities and American authorities. So thank you. My last words are dedicated to all the people who don't believe we can punish bankruptcy crimes in Brazil and collect assets illegally introduced into other countries. I think we can say that with patience and with cooperation we can. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we will hear from the public prosecutor in Brazil, Eronides Aparecido Rodrigues dos Santos.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great satisfaction that the prosecution and the Brazilian judiciary participate in this ceremony to repatriate these works of Hannibal, of Jean-Michel Basquiat, and Roman Togatus sculpture, seized by the U.S. authorities in compliance with the request of International Corporation of the Brazilian and U.S. The cooperation between the federal criminal judge in bankruptcy judge and the district attorney overseeing the bankruptcy in the Brazilian federal government, as well as international legal cooperation provided to the Brazilian government by the U.S. Department of Justice, allowed the compensation of victims of the fraudulent bankruptcy of Banco Santos, with the arrest of this valuable artwork, reaffirming the legal bond of cooperation between the two nations. Thank you all, and I hope that this work serves as an example for our continued international partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you have questions. You probably just want to look at the art, but if you do, we're happy to try to answer them. Yeah.
This is a question for the Brazilian gentleman. I would like to know what's the next step now that Brazil has repossessed the artwork. What will take place? Who will possess it? Will it be sold? Will money be distributed to creditors? What will happen?
I think I can give an answer. The works of art, they will be sold by after a selection. Some interested in sell the piece of work will make this proposed. They will how can I say it, an auction. They will make propose for the state of Banco Santos, and it will be evaluated by the judge. Okay.
I have a question on the case. Was it very difficult for the Brazilian authorities to try to find assets from Mr. Was it very difficult to locate assets, and what's the importance that you were able to actually find out that the United States, he managed to siphon them off or slip them into the United States?
As I said, now we need to focus in asset recovery. It's very difficult to find the assets in the world. And United States is a partner. United States help us to find the assets here. In this case, we sent United States a CD with the pictures that we are looking for, and the United States authorities found it for us, and we are here. It's very important. Again, it's very important to focus on asset recovery. And it's very important the cooperation between countries to localize the assets, to freeze the assets, and to recover the assets to Brazil in this case.
Do you have any estimation on how much money or how much artwork he was able to spirit out of the country?
You are talking only about a piece of artwork. I don't know exactly I can't estimate the value. In the Banco Santos case, do you know the value?
Just to explain a little bit, the beginning of this cooperation started when, in a decision, I ruled the decision and filed the Interpol, which listed all the artworks that were missing, because it was made a huge work inside the court to compare the collection of artworks that came from the computer of the previous owner, the banker, and what we had seized by the courts. So comparing this, we discovered that some of artwork were missing, and then we filed the Interpol, and afterwards, a diligent guy here and the owner of gallery starting to suspect accessing Interpol sites. So that's the beginning. So we estimated there were 12,000 artworks seized by my court, but among them 400 we estimate was fled abroad Brazil. So you have many artworks everywhere, many countries, and the beginning you were requiring each country with cooperation, mutual legal assistance cooperation, and then by the suggestion of the West, it was very interesting to centralize all the requests in the West, because it's easier for the countries to deal with one country and centralize a big country, powerful country. Then Brazil, we asking every country, and you needed to follow all this step to give you evidence, etc., etc., etc. of this.
And out of the 400, how many have you been able to locate?
This
My wife's translation for me. We hope to recover about $30 million in piece of art or asset. Yes, the money is give to the victims of the fraud. Yeah, thank you.
I noticed that the banker behind this fraud was convicted in 2002. So was it that, can you describe the investigation that followed? Why the kind of 9-year stretch?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, and as was suggested in connection with one of the questions, these things are hard to do, and it takes a lot of legal wrangling, and depending on who is claiming ownership, under what supposed company, with respect to each piece of art, it can take a longer period of time or a lesser period of time. As I said, I think it was 3.5, almost 4 years ago, that we repatriated one of the first pieces of art that was a result of the fraud that we've been describing here. With respect to these two pieces of art, there was a longer appellate process. I think we went up to the Court of Appeals twice, back to the district court judge. The legal system here, I think, is excellent and works very well, and is as swift as we can possibly make it. But people do have rights under our system here, and it can take a long time if there are appeals. And that's my best answer to you. Yeah. I don't like to usually go off topic. I'll answer the second one first. Rich Zabel is standing over there, who actually did the repatriation ceremony yesterday that I referred to, is my friend, my confidant, and is one of the most important forces in the office. So I'm very, very sad to see him go, not just because he's an amazing lawyer, but also he's an amazing friend to me, and will be for life. With respect to the other question, it's very off topic. All I'll say is that as we told the court, we expect to have an agreement in principle by June 22nd, which is next Monday. And I can tell you that I'm very, very confident, because we've been pushing very, very hard because of how important it is that we will have such an agreement. Thanks, everybody.